Feminism means that we are all equal, and if we can't include everybody in that conversation, then I don't want to have that conversation. My name is Juliana Neal. I'm 19 years old and I'm a full-time college student at Allen Hancock College. My activism consists of mainly women's issues. I am on the executive board of Women's March of Santa Maria Valley. I'm also on the executive board of the Young Democrats Club. I do work hand in hand with a lot of different organizations, not directly linked to Planned Parenthood, but I do work with people who are employed at Planned Parenthood. I do work with HOPE, which is a LGBTQ plus organization locally. I would say my main focus right now would be women's issues and LGBT issues. I fight for women. I fight that we have the equal rights, and I think that if someone were to tell me, oh, you can get a job. Yes, I can get a job, but I'm not getting paid as much as you. We should all be outraged and we should all fight for equality and for equity, because without equity, we can't be equal.
My name is Rima. I currently serve as the president of Planned Parenthood Generation Action at our campus. Sexism manifests in a more institutionalized and systemic way at that point. It's not blatant, it's not in your face, but it's there, right? There's pay inequity. We have women not in positions of power. We have trans people not in positions of power. So it's just navigating that. Like, how does my lived experience kind of like showcase everything that we are fighting? Like, when they respond with hatred, with undermining comments, trying to discredit your efforts, they are just proving my point.
Planned Parenthood is essential to life in America, is essential to life in the United States, making sure that people have the resources to protect their sexual health and to protect their human right, for reproduction. Planned Parenthood Action Fund, which is their activist organization, really advocates for women and really advocates for abortion rights, because I think that women can't be equal if the government's telling us what we do or what we can't do with our bodies. Without women's organizations, without Planned Parenthood especially, there's no women in the conversation anymore. You've completely taken out 51% of the population. Men-led conversations don't get anywhere for women. And I think that it's really dangerous, especially for the youth, for the next generations, if we don't have a voice like Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is for all women and all people. And I think that it's really important that Planned Parenthood does have these resources for the young mothers, especially in Santa Barbara County. It's really crucial in our area that we get out the voices of people who are marginalized. Women of color, trans women of color, these voices that are oftentimes, held back or suppressed. They also just started offering LGBTQ plus education, and they started offering gender-affirming care for trans people and non-binary people. Just because they are for women doesn't mean that they are against everybody else.
Same things that limit women, right, in their day-to-day lives are systems that limit queer people in their day-to-day lives. So it's a contradiction to not include the diverse issues of the queer community in your feminism. That doesn't just go for queer people, it goes for Black women, it goes for Latinx women, it goes for all different kinds of people on the planet who have these intersecting identities, and how these intersecting identities hold them back through very flawed systems that perpetuate inequality. The life argument is interesting. It's so interesting because it's like a moral issue more than anything. And people who are typically anti-abortion and anti-choice are the same people who are like strong proponents of individualism, freedom, capitalism. So why do we see them trying to restrict people's bodily autonomy? Why are people having abortions, right? Because the way I see it is that it is a choice for some people that they just need to make, and that's absolutely valid. No exceptions, that's how I feel about abortion, but it's complicated, right? We do need to also establish that there are people who want to be parents who can't, and that's why it's called Planned Parenthood, right? Why would they want to make sure people aren't having abortions? And that's because they want to make sure there is a class of people that they can continue to take advantage of. The people who are most vulnerable when they have the right to abortion taken away from them are poor people, are poor women and poor families. They try to mask it as a life issue, but we know that's not the case. especially when we know a lot of these children are going to grow up parentless, in foster homes, stuck in the lower classes of society. The fact is that like only a fraction of the services provided by Planned Parenthood are abortion services. Another thing about that is that they aren't funded by the federal government, so you don't have to worry about like taxpayer money being used to fund these abortions. The majority of services are STI screening, prevention, as well as contraception.
Women do have a constitutional right to abortion, and states trying to change that is unconstitutional. I think they're very admirable about their stance on sexual health as well as reproductive health. You need that education or you're going to have crazy outbreaks. And I think that it's really important for Planned Parenthood to continue their fight to end the stigma against sexual education. We should be teaching consent from a very young age, not just to boys, but to girls.
I'm Jed Gradillis. I work with the Planned Parenthood Generation Action Club at UCI. Planned Parenthood itself is a very educational organization, but in schools, sex education is one of the most important things that gets overlooked by a lot of states. Abstinence education is very misleading to a lot of young people. A lot of people grow up with misconceptions about pregnancy, about sex, about STIs, about contraceptives, about abortion. That's how that starts, right? It starts in the education system. It creates this snowball effect where as young people don't know about sex, they will have kids at a young age and their kids will not know these things about sex either. So it compiles and it multiplies. With proper sex education, you can prevent millions upon millions of teenagers and college students from making these mistakes. Nothing wrong with being a teen parent, of course. But, for a lot of people, it's important that you know what your options are so that you can make the decisions you want and make the decisions that make you happy.
In the end, if you look at the dictionary definition of feminism, it's making sure that women are equal to men in socioeconomic. So it doesn't make sense to me why there is such a stigma, but the stigma is definitely there. Having a dialogue between men and women about the challenges that we each face will really open up the conversation and really open people's minds.
There's a lot of things that I can do that I won't get criticized for that a woman would get criticized for doing the same thing. There's no one out there trying to control what I want to do with my life and my body and what occupations I want to pursue. So for me, it's just acknowledging that I have some level of privilege.
Just because Planned Parenthood is a women's organization doesn't mean that they're not a man's organization as well. They still offer STI testing for men and women alike.
At Planned Parenthood and the services they provide, they are completely transparent in informing people that it is a place for everyone to receive care.
Trans people are people. Women are people. Non-binary people are people. People of color are people. Men are people. So I think that it's something that we really need to realize when coming together. We need to realize that we are all people and that our lives matter just the same.
Just accept people for who they are because they deserve it.